If you like the channel, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/MundaneMatt. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. And as a gamer, as a longtime Nintendo fan, I have been heavily critical over how Nintendo has handled its live streaming policy. Its Nintendo Creators Program is an absolute travesty. It's a joke, and I have friends who are part of it. I don't know why. I asked them, and they think that it's going to be beneficial for them. It's something that you might hear from a person who's been the abused in a relationship. No, it's okay. They love me. They love me. I just have to stick around a little bit longer. No, it's not. You need to get away from them and move over to other games. In fact, that mentality of getting away from Nintendo is effectively what killed the Wii U. When they created this program a couple years ago, nobody wanted to do it. Nobody was streaming Nintendo games. And as a result, the Wii U crashed and burned. It is a prime example of why companies should let people stream their games. Because it is the best and most cost-effective advertising policy or a program you could ever freaking get. But Nintendo consistently bungles it. I was hoping that with the Nintendo Switch, they would have changed their policy, but apparently Nintendo of Japan still has a gigantic Joy-Con up their ass when it comes to this sort of thing. And that's why these kind of articles coming out today make me very happy. Because popular YouTubers are now calling out Nintendo for their streaming policies. This isn't anything new. I just want to make that abundantly clear. People have been criticizing them for a long time now. I want to say since at least 2014, if not before. And that's something that we're seeing. The anger has been growing and growing, especially following their rules about live streaming Legend of Zelda and other games as well, because they didn't want you doing that if you're part of the creators platform. And the reason why is because Super Chat donations could come on in and they would get no percentage of that particular monetization avenue, and they didn't want anything to do with that. No, they didn't. So here's what it says. The YouTube verse has been a turbulent one as of late. Very true. But even though the company is making moves to a more user-friendly platform, that doesn't mean that dust is settled. At least at the time, the beef isn't with YouTube themselves. Instead, with the problem that many are having is with Nintendo. A lot of streamers and YouTubers are upset with the big N over their stringent streaming policies of their content. It's horrible. It's horrible. It doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't ultimately even really benefit Nintendo. They would do better by focusing on selling games because, I hate to break it to them, that's where the money is. And the Switch itself is actually so popular that mine was stolen out of my backpack at TSA in LAX a few weeks ago and then subsequently returned to me, which was fantastic. But the point is, no, it's so popular. It's sold over 2 million units. Third-party developers are rushing, trying to play catch-up to it. And then you got Todd Howard over there, Bethesda, going like, yeah, we already foresaw this thing coming, so Skyrim will be out pretty soon, and they're gonna let you stream Skyrim from the Switch. Yeah. Because they understand how this business works, Nintendo. I don't know why you guys can never get it through your skull. You just can never get it through your skull. Anyway, this isn't the first time the company has been called out for their incredibly limiting streaming requirements, but as it seems with the recent release of Super Mario Odyssey, it has taken tension to a whole new level. The controversy kicked back up again when popular YouTuber Video Game Donkey took to his Twitter account to tweet the below message blasting Nintendo for their copyright claim on his review. I love this warning language. Oh, come on, comicbook.com. You don't need to put a trigger warning over fucking dumbass Nintendo. Jeez. But no, it's true. They're striking his review. That does fall under fair use. Now, granted, the people out there will argue that it doesn't necessarily fall under fair use. It pretty much does. It wouldn't hold up in a court of law if they went above, in front of a judge. It wouldn't hold up. They wouldn't have a say in it necessarily. Immediately, his reply thread blew up in support, saying that he should dispute the claim. This spurred even more conversation about the hot topic of streaming and coverage guidelines, but it's just one of many. His tweet wasn't coming from a place of ignorance, however. Just recently, he took to his podcast to talk about his issues with Nintendo, where he stated he knew that the video would be demonetized, but he was going to upload it anyway. And that, yeah, I mean, it's a gamble, to be fair, but it's still annoying. It's like, this is something that does fall under fair use. And Nintendo is just being a dickbag about it. Other popular names added their support to his complaint, citing similar instances and frustration for Nintendo's policies. Boogie2988 here saying, yup. And I think Boogie speaks for many people with those 3 simple letters. That one small word, yup. It's just an annoyance and a frustration many of us deal with when it comes to wanting to stream games. and also our love of Nintendo. We're caught between two worlds, because here's the truth of it. I'll just be honest with you guys. Everything we do when it comes to this creating this kind of content takes time. It takes a lot of time. And if we're not being compensated for our time, then it's not worth it to us to do, and we'll move on to something that is. And that's why these things take place. In a perfect world, Nintendo would realize the value of people streaming these games, and then they would be able to use that as a way to, to make more money, right? I mean, they ultimately don't need to. That's the sad thing. The Switch is doing well enough on its own, but it could do better. It could do so much better. So it goes on to say here that we previously detailed the strict restrictions on streams and the mandatory refunneling that has been met with a lot of resistance. The term fair use has very little weight in terms of Nintendo content and is non-existent on live streams. For those streamers who would like to support Nintendo and stream their content, they find this move incredibly frustrating, especially with bigger names in the industry where streaming is a large part of their income. For those looking to run commentary on Nintendo properties, they must join the Nintendo Creators Club, which may not sound bad, but it does provide a huge problem for these names. The policy does complicate things for streamers as they are faced with a few less than favorable options. Saying here, possibly having to set up an all-new channel, starting from scratch with followers, with registering an entire channel, which is true. If you are part of the Nintendo Creators Club and you want to live stream games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey or whatever, they want you to start a whole new channel and not have it conflict with the one that you're already on. As a result, people have been leaving the Creators Club and then just streaming the games. Once they're done streaming it and it becomes goes into the system and gets processed for content, then of course Nintendo will in fact, monetize it. They'll put their claim on it and whatnot, which is unfortunate because you then lose out on the potential end game revenue that would come from having those videos be watched later by an audience who wants to see them. So they really are just finding further ways to screw you over. Then they also say cancel the registration process with the Nintendo Creators Program and register by video to video basis. This includes previously released videos of Nintendo content. So effectively saying that if you are a channel that does this kind of stuff, you have to go back and resubmit every one of your videos in order to get that, was it 70-30 split? I think it is. So yeah, and that's on top of YouTube already taking their cut, by the way. It's the worst multi-channel network on YouTube, hands down. A huge reason why streamers are avoiding the program is because of the dramatic restriction on profit. Polygon states it best by saying here, think of it this way. A YouTuber earns 60% of a cut from a normal YouTube video, with Google taking 40%. As part of Nintendo's creator program, that same YouTuber is going to earn far less than normal, as both Nintendo and Google each take a piece of the profit earned. 70% for channels, 60% for videos. If YouTubers don't join the program and they aren't able to profit off of all the video, as all the revenue from AdSense goes back to Nintendo. So Nintendo's in a win-win situation one way or the other. And by making it increasingly hard to do these sort of things, they are basically trying to add more coins to their coffers. And that is such a scummy business practice. This is, people like to rally against microtransactions as being anti-consumer. This is anti-consumer in my opinion, when it comes to these kind of angles. And I know it's an odd comparison to make, and I'm sure I'll be chastised for it in the comments, but it's the first thing that came to mind. And I'm a little bit frustrated at Nintendo the more I think about this. Like, I'd love to stream the games. I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to sit there and go through Zelda and go through Mario plus Rabbids, because it's actually really fun, and all of these other things. And then it's like, I just don't have the desire, simply because what's the point? Nintendo will just claim it if I decide to make a review or anything else of it. How is that even remotely fair? It's not. And that's why people are speaking out, and why Nintendo of America it needs to pressure Nintendo of Japan, Reggie, in order to get this thing right and accurate. Look, I'm being fair when I say this. The Wii U died because of this. People weren't streaming it. They weren't making gameplay videos of it. That was a big thing a couple years ago, and it's still a big thing now. That's what killed it. And they're doing the same thing again. And as a result, if the big YouTubers walk away, you're going to be going out to a much smaller audience. And that's not what they want. But they apparently don't seem to care. So anyway, because of this, many YouTubers have fled the streaming site Twitch. Twitch is the largest competitor to YouTube at the moment regarding streaming, and they have much more lenient policy when it comes to content creation. Because of this mess, many might have better luck following their favorites on Twitch, at least when it comes to Nintendo titles like Super Mario Odyssey. So far, neither Nintendo nor YouTube has prepared a statement regarding the policy backlash or whether they have any plans to change it. And the thing to keep in mind with that is they're not going to. They're not going to. Like, the only way to impact them is to hurt their wallet here. But Nintendo has sold 2 million copies of the Switch. They sold more copies of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild than they actually sold units at launch, because they sold out and people wanted to get them. So people were just buying the games. And we all know that when it comes to these particular, situations, the game companies make more money off of software than hardware. So they're just raking in money at that point in time. And that's the downside to it, is Nintendo has no reason to change these policies. I can't think of a proper solution that would get them to change their mind. That would be unless people just say, keep yelling at them. Part of me was hoping that when Iwata died, that this policy would change. As sad as I was when he passed away, my first thought when I was with my friend at Comic-Con when we found out was maybe Nintendo will finally see the light. Because I felt Iwata was holding Nintendo back, and I had been for quite some time. And I was still sad that he died, but I thought, okay, this is a chance for Nintendo to get ahead of this problem, to change this just stupid draconian policy. And unfortunately, they didn't. They didn't. They didn't really double down on it originally, but they sure did earlier this year with the streaming rules update. And that is where we currently find ourselves. If YouTubers have any power, any influence, this is where we will see it the most. When people are that mad about Nintendo, they will maybe just stop buying Nintendo products. But then again, every time Nintendo releases an NES Mini or an SNES Mini, or God forbid the N64 Mini, those things sell out like hotcakes and go to the third-party market, which are then sold at a much higher rate, therefore increasing demand for Nintendo to meet it. And Nintendo then makes a healthy profit by creating that supply and demand, by creating the craze for it, and they know this. They know that they can resell you the same product 75,000 times and you'll walk away smiling. Nintendo knows that its diehard fans are going to continue paying out money for Nintendo-based products. And that is maybe something many of you should consider not doing. Is if you want to get this kind of content working, like content creators, if you want to try to change Nintendo's policy on this, then, well, as bad as this sounds, run a negative ad campaign against whatever next mini comes out from Nintendo, whatever the next product is. Say, I won't buy it, and I ask that you don't buy it either. Don't give them money until they change this policy. But at the same time, the problem with that boils down to the fact that people will then perceive you as being greedy because you're asking people to not give Nintendo money for them to change a policy for you then to make money. It's an odd place to be. Like I said, there's almost no way out of this scenario that's going to benefit anyone from any kind of action. The only way for this thing to end, for everyone to be happy in the long run, would be for Nintendo to pull the policy completely. But why would they? They're still making money off of the creators program. They're still getting that 30%, or if people aren't, remonetizing those videos or reclaiming those videos, then they're getting the full thing. So they have no reason to change their policy because they're still making money. So really, if you want to change this particular policy, the best course of action would be no Nintendo products on YouTube whatsoever. None whatsoever. Pull them. Every video you have in Nintendo, pull it. Eradicate it from the platform. Just get rid of it. Because if no one's watching it, the Switch may not go the way of the Wii U. Because the hype is still pretty high for that thing. It's still pretty new. But it will definitely have an impact if people aren't watching it. And that's probably the only way to solve this issue. But I do want to know your guys' thoughts. If there are better ways, if I missed something or if I screwed something up, let me know in the comments. This is something that I'm passionate about. I don't stream necessarily myself, games at least, but I am very curious to help other people out because I do really hate these policies from Nintendo, and I do love the company. But we're all just kind of in this weird state of flux, and I don't know which answer is the right one to go forward to fix it. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.